Hello everyone. In this recorded lecture video, I will be discussing broiler production and management, and we will be guided by the following learning outcomes. So first is you should be able to develop a basic broiler management plan at the end of this unit. Number two is you should also be able to apply recommended broiler production practices. And number three, manage flock performance using records and adjustments. And number four, evaluate broiler production using biological and economic indicators. So basically, the question that we will be answering is how do we produce broilers efficiently starting from the old chicks until they are marketed while ensuring, of course, kita or profitability and at the same time, the health of the entire flock. So these are the topics under broiler production and management. We have introduction to broiler production systems, production management practices, and then finally we will cover marketing and basic economic evaluation. Let's first start with introduction to broiler production systems. So my lecture video will mainly focus on the first part of broiler production and management, okay, so that it will not be very lengthy. So for Topic A, Introduction to Broiler Production Systems. The first thing that we should ask ourselves first before we discuss things further in detail is what is broiler production? So basically, broiler production is the systematic raising of meat-type chickens from the old chicks or what we call DOCs until market age. And its main objective is to produce high-quality poultry meat in the shortest possible time and at the lowest possible cost. It is also a specialized branch of poultry production focused on or that prioritize rapid growth rate, high survivability, efficient feed utilization, and uniform body weight at marketing. And with this, since it emphasizes that we have to produce high quality poultry meat in the shortest possible time and at the lowest possible cost, what we need to emphasize in broiler production or what broiler production needs to emphasize is it is time sensitive. Meaning to say, shorter cycles means mas mabilis yung capital turnover. Okay? Another, yung feed efficiency or efficient feed utilization na tinutukoy dito, that determines our profit. Because we know or we have a knowledge that the feed is the largest cost that we incur in broiler production or in animal production. We also have to have uniform body weight at marketing because uniformity ensures easier marketing. And therefore, we gain better economic returns. And it is also common sense that we have to focus on high survivability because there is a corresponding income per head. No? Survival rate of the broiler chickens directly affects our net income. Let us now move to the types of broiler production systems, and these vary depending on the scale, technology, the capital, and management intensity. So first, we have the backyard system. Of course, this is the small-scale type of production. Usually, the number of birds raised in a backyard system is 50 to 500 birds. And we have minimal housing facilities in here. It usually often uses manual feeding and watering, or sometimes we just allow the chickens or the birds to range freely or graze freely in the backyard. No, it also requires lower capital, and the one disadvantage here is that they have higher exposure to environmental risks because there is minimal supervision when we use the backyard system. But of course, the advantage in backyard system is that we have lower investment and it is more suitable pag nagsisimula pa lang yung poultry owner or poultry farmer. Okay? Another disadvantage that we would like to highlight here is there is limited biosecurity because of its exposure to environmental risks. And we cannot guarantee that the birds we are raising in the backyard system are uniform. Okay, so there would be higher production variability in a backyard broiler production system. Next, for semi-commercial system, of course, this is wider in scope than the backyard system. It is a moderate scale. Usually, the number of birds raised in semi-commercial scale include or have 500 to 5,000 birds. And the housing structure is better than the backyard system. Since it's semi-commercial, the facilities or the equipment are partially mechanized, meaning to say parts or there are housing equipment facilities that are already mechanized, and it has better feeding and health program because we already apply the scientific management practices. So if you compare it to the backyard system, there's higher productivity than the backyard system. But of course, the management skill that we need to have is usually higher, or the requirement for management skill usually is higher for a semi-commercial production system. And there is, of course, moderate financial risk because we already invest in a semi-commercial. We invest higher in a semi-commercial production system than in a backyard system. And then number 3 is our commercial or the intensive production system. This one is larger in scale than the two. What else? More scientific management practices are applied here or employed here. There is an environmentally controlled housing because more birds are being raised in a commercial or intensive production system. Strict din yung kanyang biosecurity protocols, and it's usually what it follows is the all-in, all-out system. Okay? Hindi siya yung continuous na system. So all in, all out because of its strict biosecurity protocols. Another characteristic of a commercial intensive system is it requires higher capital because of its larger scale operation. But of course, we can make sure that there is higher productivity potential. And at the same time, there is a lower cost, particularly feed cost per kilogram, especially when we manage it effectively. And with all of this, there's a requirement for technical management, meaning to say the farmers, the personnel hired in a commercial intensive system are required to have higher or more expert technical management. And then we also have number 4, the contract growing system. So this is a system that involves an agreement between a grower or between a farmer and an integrator company. So what do the integrator and the grower provide? Ano yung kanilang counterpart? So basically, the integrator provides the day-old chicks, the feeds, the vaccines, medications, technical supervision, and it also plays a role during pag binamarket na yung mga birds or yung mga broilers. And then the grower naman or the farmer, ang kanyang counterpart is housing facilities. Dapat yung nag-aalaga in a contract growing system ay sa kanya. Siya yung may-ari ng housing facilities. Siya din, counterpart niya din yung labor. Also the utilities or yung water, electricity, and yung daily management. Pakain, feeding, waste management, maintenance, etc. So the advantage in a contract growing system is you have a reduced market risk particularly for the grower kasi ensured ka na, guaranteed na yung market mo. It's already the integrator company that buys the birds at market. And yung integrator company, siya na din yung nagpo-provide ng technical support or technical services. Pero ang disadvantages or ang limitations lang dito is you have limited decision-making autonomy, especially if you are the farmer. And your income is based on your contract terms and the performance of the birds that you raise. Okay? So walang maganda or walang pangit na production system. You have to select an appropriate production scale based on the resources that you have. You have to estimate your capital requirement. You have to assess your risk exposure and evaluate your profitability potential. So basically, it depends on your number one, very important, available capital. Technical skill mo, ano pa, market access mo, risk tolerance, at saka yung ano ba yung long term na business goals mo. So these are the 4 types of broiler production systems. You are not new to each of this, but I would like to place this as part of my topic because these are very important production systems before we move on to the more detailed part. Okay, so what are the basic features and structure of broiler production system? So for this part, we will be discussing 4 subtopics. We have the broiler production cycle. We have to study that. Structural components of a broiler production system. What are the structural principles in broiler production? And lastly, we will be discussing the conceptual framework of a broiler production system. So studying this will help us ensure that we are performing or we're doing broiler production efficiently. And when we are having an efficient broiler production, we are really making sure that it is a structured, time-bound production system that integrates yung housing, nutrition, health, environmental control, ano pa, ventilation, and yung mga record-based decision making natin. Because this part is very important. Okay. So let's first have the broiler production system. So yung broiler production na cycle is short and highly organized siya. Okay? And it has 5 phases or 5 stages. We have the pre-placement phase. We also have the brooding phase, grower phase, finisher phase, and the marketing and downtime. Let's discuss each of these phases one by one. So yung pre-placement phase, this happens before the arrival of chicks, of day-old chicks in particular. So ito yung nagde-determine kung good quality ba yung chicks mo or magsistruggle ba sila from day one. Okay. Very important ang pre-placement phase. Dapat pine-prepare natin ng maayos yung kanilang titirhan and yung kanilang kakailanganan na materials. So the activities done during the pre-placement phase ay number 1, cleaning and disinfection of the poultry house. What else? Removal of old litter, especially kapag merong previous batch, no? Another, we repair and inspect yung mga equipment na kailanganin. Prepare na rin yung mga feeders at saka mga drinkers. Hindi mo, meaning to say, meron ka na dapat feeders and drinkers bago pa dumating yung mga broiler chicks. Hindi yung saka lang bibili ng feeders and drinkers pag dumating na yung mga chicks, no? Another, we have to preheat or pre-warm the brooding area. That is usually done 4 hours before the arrival of the day-old chicks. Kailangan pagdating ng mga chicks, mainit na yung kanilang brooding area. Hindi yung saka mo lang switch on yung brooder or yung heat source pagdating ng broiler chicks. So mali yun. Dapat we preheat the brooding area 4 hours before the arrival of the chicks. We also have to check the water supply and electricity. So water supply, syempre, we have to ensure ad libitum intake of water or drinking water. And we also have to make sure na merong supply of electricity. Okay? Next, brooding phase. Ito yung pinaka-critical na stage of broiler production. It's the brooding phase, usually from 0 or day of arrival until the 14th day of the broiler chicks. Kasi, bakit siya most critical? Kasi yung early management natin, it determines yung future na growth performance ng mga manok, yung feed efficiency nila, and their survivability. So basically, ito yung foundation stage. That means, mistakes during the brooding period are difficult to correct later on. Hindi yung saka ka lang babawi pag finisher stage, saka ka na babawi pag grower stage. So since ito yung most critical, ito yung foundation stage, ano yung performance nila during the brooding, magre-reflect yon pag ibebenta mo sila. So objectives of the brooding phase is, or the brooding stage is, number 1, we have to maintain proper temperature. Kasi yung mga chicks, hindi pa nila kaya mag-regulate ng kanilang body temperature efficiently. So when we maintain proper temperature, that means we have to provide adequate heat. And we know naman their behavior if nainitan sila or nalalamigan. We have to assess or observe their chick behavior. Another, encourage early feed and water intake. Kasi yung early na pag-consume or pag-intake nila ng feed and water stimulates their gut development or digestive system development. Ano pa? That activates their immune system. And that stimulates faster early growth performance. So dapat maganda yung appetite nila during the brooding period. Okay? They should not be weak during the brooding period. We usually provide actually electrolytes during the brooding period, no? Para ma-alleviate yung stress nila. So speaking of stress, we have to minimize chick stress. So any form of stress during brooding could result or may result from changes in the temperature. Yung sobrang malamig, then sobrang iinit. Yun. That leads to stress. Ano pa? Stress may also result from poor ventilation, overcrowding, and rough handling. So kung merong stress, that reduces growth rate and increases mortality. And speaking of mortality, we have to reduce early mortality during the brooding phase. Kasi syempre, early mortality, that affects yung economic returns, no? So very important yung brooding phase. That's the most critical phase. Number 3, grower phase. So this usually lasts from day 15 until day 28. It is during this stage kung saan nangyayari yung rapid muscle development and increasing feed consumption. Dito na sila magaling kumain. Dito sila mas bumibigat. Birds become heavier at this point. They become more active. They become more sensitive to environmental conditions. Okay? Ito yung point kung saan maximum na. So this is the phase of maximum growth acceleration. So any delay sa growth nila at this point affects yung final market weight. So mas crucial na ngayon dito ang feeding management natin. Mabilis silang kumain, magaling silang kumain. And ano pa? Critical din yung environmental control kasi since mas mabilis silang kumain, mas magaling silang kumain, mas bumibigat sila, they generate more heat. So since they generate more heat, kailangang i-improve natin ang ventilation. Because poor ventilation leads to heat stress and pangit na FCR. Another thing that I was not able to include here is yung litter condition. We also have to monitor yung litter condition or yung litter material. Kasi ayaw natin ng mataas yung moisture content ng litter material. Okay? Pag moist kasi ang litter material, that leads to respiratory illnesses sa ating mga manok. Okay? Next, we proceed to the finisher phase. That's day 29 hanggang sila ay maibenta. Usually, short period lang ito. Okay? This is the finisher phase. Ito yung final stage bago sila ibenta, bago sila ma-harvest. So, heavier sila, of course, than their grower phase. Feed intake is at its highest pa rin. Mabilis pa rin silang kumain. And management here becomes more sensitive. Okay. So, yung objectives natin, we have to maximize final body weight kasi yung final weight nila determines our total revenue. Another, we also have to maintain feed efficiency kasi kung ano mang excess doon sa pinakain, ay wala siyang contribute na revenue. Because excess feed without proportional gain increases cost. Ibig sabihin, pakain ka ng pakain, sobra-sobra yung pinakain mo, hindi naman niya na nagko-contribute sa weight gain ng manok. Hindi naman na siya bumibigat. And we know, doon sa growth curve, the growth curve is an S curve or sigmoid curve during the finisher stage, nagpa-flatten na yung curve. That means, any increase in feed will no longer result to increase or great increase in the body weight gain. We also have to prevent late mortality, although rare cases ang mortality during the finisher phase kasi kaya na nilang mag-regulate ng kanilang temperature. Ang usual cause lang ng mortality during the finisher phase is heat stress, especially kapag mainit. During the summer ka nag-alaga. Ano pa? Carcass quality. We have to maintain carcass quality also because that reflects yung quality of meat that we sell. So yung stress na na-experience nila at the finisher stage, the overcrowding, poor handling will result to reduced meat quality. So management at this point still becomes more sensitive. Kasi higher risk sila sa heat stress. Yun ang gusto nating i-emphasize sa finisher phase. Yung mortality na na-experience or na-record natin during the finisher phase is not because of the temperature or hindi dahil sa hindi nila kayang mag-regulate ng body temperature but because of their higher risk of heat stress. Kasi yung stocking density, pressure ay nag-i-increase. Nag-i-increase din yung oxygen demand kasi mainit. And dapat precise din yung environmental control. Next, marketing and downtime. Ito na yung pinaka-final stage of the production cycle. And this is the transition to the next batch of chicks. So after harvest, the birds are transported to market or processing plant. There is also complete depopulation, litter removal, and deep cleaning begins, and then downtime of at least 10 to 14 days is recommended. Meaning to say, bago ka bumili ng bagong batch ng manok, you have to have downtime. And at least that is 10 to 14 days minimum. So we have to do cleaning and disinfection. Next, we proceed to the structural components of a broiler production system. These are the basic things, basic structural components. When we talk of components, structural components, these are the components that work together to support yung kanilang growth, their health, and efficiency. So, any component, so since these are components, meaning to say, kung ano mang isa, di ba, components make a system whole or make a system whole. So, kung weak ang isa dyan, for example, maganda lahat or strong lahat ng components except for ventilation, pangit pa rin ang system mo. Because weakness in one area, in one component, affects the overall system, affects the overall performance of your birds. Okay, so we have here the structural components. We have housing structures. Housing structure provides protection from weather, from predators, from stress. So dapat, ang i-emphasize natin dito sa housing structure is proper design, orientation, spacing, drainage. Lahat ng yon directly affects ventilation, temperature control, and of course, eventually, yung comfort ng mga manok. Another component is feeding system. This ensures uniform and continuous access to feed. So ang emphasis naman natin dito is 60 to 70% of the production cost kasi natin is usually accounted sa feeds. So we have to minimize feed wastage and ensure that lahat ng mga birds ay may equal access sa pagkain. Watering system, we have to supply clean and adequate drinking water, fresh drinking water at all times. So, ano pa? Ventilation control also. Ventilation control regulates temperature at saka yung humidity, pati na rin air quality doon sa housing. So, kung pangit ang ventilation, that leads to heat stress. Diba? Tataas ang ammonia levels, papangit ang FCR, and with that, tataas yung mortality rate. Ano pa? Litter management system. We have to maintain dry and absorbent litter material or flooring material. Health management structure also. This includes yung vaccination sa ating mga manok, biosecurity, and mortality control. So, kailangan natin isipin palagi yung prevention is better than cure, or prevention is more economical than treatment actually. And lastly, we have the record-keeping system na minsan nakakalimutan natin. We have to keep records because the records help us track body weight, feed intake, mortality, at saka yung environment. When I talk about environment, I'm referring to the temperature, the humidity, air quality. Proper ba yung ventilation mo? So kung wala ka kasing records, hindi mo ma-evaluate yung performance ng iyong mga manok. You will not be able to determine if they improve or not. Next, proceed tayo sa structural principles in broiler production. So we have 5 structural principles. First is simplicity. Pag sinabi natin simplicity, yung broiler production system mo should be easy to manage and operate. Kasi kung complicated yung systems mo, you are increasing labor errors. Ano pa? You are increasing stress and inefficiency. So if there is simplicity in your system, it improves consistency and control. Number 2, biosecurity. So we know that biosecurity refers to measures that prevent the introduction and spread of diseases. So I always emphasize this. Disease prevention is cheaper than treatment. Letter C, uniformity. When we talk of uniformity, we are actually referring to how similar the body weights of birds are within a flock. Kasi kung uniform or mataas ang uniformity ng mga manok mo, you have easier marketing. Sasabihin ng buyer or yung customer na, maganda yung management practices nito. Uniformity reflects your management, good management. So easier marketing. Walang variability. Ano pa? Better processing efficiency also. More predictable ang feed intake. So kung pangit ang uniformity, that reflects na pangit ang management. That reflects hindi mo na-implement yung equal feeder space. Hindi mo na-implement ang brooding na properly. Ano pa? Poor uniformity also results from uneven temperature distribution and inconsistent feed access sa mga birds. Okay? And then number 4, efficiency. When we talk of efficiency, we are maximizing output or we are maximizing gain while minimizing input. So that means maximizing weight gain while minimizing feed cost. So sa broiler production, ibig sabihin nun, we have to make sure mababa ang makakompute na FCR, there is low mortality, meron dapat optimal growth rate, and walang masyadong wastage. And then lastly, we have record-based decision-making. Dapat ng management decisions must be based on the data on the record that we have, hindi yung guesswork. So ano yung mga essential records ba na kailangan? So primary or mga main dapat na nire-record natin ay yung kanilang body weight. We have to track their body weight. Ano pa? Feed intake. Baka sobra na pala yung binibigay mo na feeds. And then we also have to look into the mortality rate. So what I would like to emphasize is a well-designed broiler system is simple, protected, uniform, efficient, and data-driven. Number 4, conceptual framework of a broiler production system. So we have the input, process, output, particularly inputs, management practices, and outputs. So ang inputs natin in a broiler production system, of course, we have to have the chicks and the other resources such as feed, water, housing, labor, and health program. As to management processes or the practices, we have to implement brooding management, proper feeding, environmental control, health monitoring, and record keeping. And then with good quality na inputs and proper management, we produce marketable broilers, higher revenue, and better performance indicators. So ganito kasimple yung conceptual framework. In terms of diagram, this is how simple it is. How we do it, dun yung question. Next, we now discuss the breeds and strains of meat-type chickens. But before we move further, let's differentiate. Ano ba yung difference ng breed at saka strain? Okay? So pag sinabi nating breed, this is a group of chickens with similar characteristics that are inherited and consistently expressed across generations. So ano ba yung mga characteristics or traits na tinutukoy dito? So similar body shape, feather color, ano pa, comb type, general size and appearance. Yun yung mga usual na traits na tinitingnan natin when we are referring to a breed. So examples of breeds, we have Cornish, Plymouth Rock, Sussex. Ito yung mga foundation stocks natin for developing our modern broilers. So it's a broader genetic category than strain. Okay? So ito yung genetic base na ginagamit natin to develop our strains. So strain is a specific line of birds developed by breeding companies through selective breeding or through selection and genetic improvement to enhance their desirable production traits. So ito namang traits na in-emphasize sa strain is, yung pinagfo-focusan sa strain is they have to have rapid growth rate or high ADG, low FCR, high breast meat yield, ano pa, good livability or good survivability. Dapat uniform ang kanilang body weight. Yun yung mga traits emphasized sa strain. Sa breed naman, ang mga traits ay yung mga body shape, feather color, usually mga qualitative traits. Sa strain, focus nila is quantitative traits. So why do we need to compare the two? Kasi pag tinukoy natin yung breed is general, broader genetic group. Yung strain, yan yung talagang commercially optimized genetic line for production performance. No? So, very important that we select the breed or the strain that we use when we are starting our broiler production system. Kasi kahit maganda yung management practices mo, disciplined ka in implementing your management practices, kung pangit yung genetic stock or broiler stock na bibilhin mo, that also limits your production potential. So efficient broiler production starts with choosing the proper genetics. Okay, so over the past years, genetic selection has significantly improved broiler performance. So merong development na nangyari. Okay? So of course, chickens are bigger today, no? So compared in the 1960s, yung ating mga modern broilers ngayon, they grow twice as fast. They require less feed per kilogram gain, meaning to say they are more efficient. They reach heavier market weights, mas mabigat na sila ngayon, and they have better carcass yield. So ang dahilan kung bakit na observe natin yung mga improvements na ito is because of selection. So selection for growth rate, selection for feed conversion efficiency, selection for carcass quality or carcass composition. And that means we also select yung mga parent stocks na mas maganda yung performance. Now we discuss yung major commercial broiler strains. We have Cub 500, Ross 308, Arbor Acres, and Hubbard. Okay. So ito yung major commercial broilers. Now let's compare them one by one. Yung sa Cub 500, the developer is Cub Vantres. So if you're familiar with Cub Vantres, ang kanilang growth performance, they have strong early growth. They have excellent FCR, high breast meat yield, good livability, and they perform well under controlled conditions or systems. So this is preferred where feed efficiency is prioritized. Si Ross 308 and Arbor Acres, pareho silang developed by Aviogen na company. Mabilis lumaki si Ross 308. Kita nyo naman sa kanyang body condition, or kanyang body build, mabilis siyang lumaki. Rapid growth rate, maganda yung kanyang FCR. But of course, mas excellent ang FCR ng CAB 500. So balance yung kanyang yield, meaning to say balance yung yield niya sa different carcass parts. Good overall survivability, pareho lang sila ng CAB 500, and good adaptability to different systems. Ito yung usual na widely ginagamit sa commercial intensive operations. Next, Arbor Acres. Si Arbor Acres, mas mababa yung feed efficiency niya. Better pa rin ang feed efficiency ng ROS 308 ng Aviagen. Good yung livability, good carcass yield. So it's a flexible choice for diverse production environments. For Hubbard naman, of course, the developer is Hubbard, moderate to strong growth. Maganda yung kanyang feed efficiency, competitive yung yield. Ang advantage or ang edge ng Hubbard is it is robust and hardy. Meaning to say, resilient siya to whatever environmental stress. So it's suitable for challenging environments. So resilient siya to stress. So may kanya-kanya silang good points at saka weak points. So depende kung anong focus mo. Focus mo ba ay growth rate? Focus mo ba ay feed efficiency? Focus mo ba ay carcass quality? Or focus mo ba yung kanilang uniformity? Focus mo ba yung kanilang adaptability or hardiness or environmental resilience? So may kanya-kanya silang advantage. So sila si CAB 500, ROS 308, Arbor Acres, and Hubbard. So what I would like to emphasize here is there is no best breed here. So si CAB 500, ang kanyang good points is excellent FCR. Si ROS 308, ang kanyang strong point is balance performance, no? Balance ang kanyang yield. Si Arbor Acres naman, ang kanyang strong point is climate flexibility. Suitable siya for various climates and uniform. May uniformity sa kanya. Si Hubbard naman, ang kanyang strong point is hardiness and environmental resilience. Next, we move to the criteria for selecting a broiler strain. Of course, we start with market requirement. Ano ba yung target market weight? Like, target market weight mo ba ay 1.5 kilograms, 1.8, 2.2? Yung buyer ba o yung consumer prefer whole birds or cut up parts? Dressed chicken ba yung gusto or yung live? Ano pa? Ang gusto ba ng buyer mo is, or yung processor ay high breast meat yield? Ano ba yung preferred marketing age? So yun yung mga tanong na sinasagutan for criterion 1, market requirement. Number 2, feed efficiency. Ano yung expected FCR ng strain na alagaan mo under local conditions? How much feed is required to produce 1 kilogram live weight? Doon ba sa area mo, mataas ang feed cost? Ano pa? Will improved FCR significantly reduce production cost? So feed efficiency, ano yung expected performance in terms of feed utilization and feed conversion? Next, criterion, growth rate. Pag sinabi natin growth rate, ilang araw yung hintayin ko bago ma-reach ng mga manok yung market weight? How many days will it take to reach market weight? Can faster growth increase the number of production cycles per year? Of course, yes. Is my housing system capable of supporting rapid growth? So kahit na yung genetic potential, yung true genetic potential ng manok mo ay mataas yung ADG or fast yung kanyang growth rate, kung pangit naman ang housing system mo, pangit naman ang management mo, then it will not be able to reach yung kanyang true genetic potential. So the question for growth rate is not only yung ilang araw yung hintayin bago siya ma-market, but also, is my housing system capable of supporting rapid growth rate? Number 4, livability or survivability. ano yung expected na survivability rate or what is the expected mortality rate under normal management? Of course, mortality cannot be avoided, pero we can minimize. Yung bang strain na binili ko, known for strong immune response? Or yung bang, paano nagre-respond or nagpa-perform yung strain na binili ko under minor management errors? So, dyan napapasok ngayon yung na-discuss natin sa previous slide na alin sa mga strains yung hardy, alin sa mga strains yung flexible sa challenging environments. Number 5, adaptability to climate. Yung bang straight na binili ko, makaka-tolerate ng high temperatures? Does it perform well in tropical or humid environments? Or yung housing ko ba, environmentally controlled or open-sided? Number 6, technical support availability. Meron bang reliable local distributor? Meron bang available management guides which would help me raise my manok? Or yung strain na binili ko? Meron bang veterinary or technical assistance accessible sa area? And during benchmarking, halimbawa, very OC ka, during benchmarking, meron ka bang nakitang performance standards? So these are the criteria for selecting a broiler strain. So hindi lang yung interest mo or maganda yung characteristics ng strain na yon, kundi we have to consider market requirement, feed efficiency, growth rate, livability or survivability, adaptability to climate, and technical support availability. Next, we move on to the discussion for performance parameters provided by breeding companies. So ano ba yung mga yon? So pag sinabi nating performance parameters, ito yung mga performance standards or strain guides na nagsisilbing benchmarks for us to evaluate yung performance ng ating flock. So bawat breeding company meron silang performance standards. Yun yung ginagamit natin para i-compare kung yung inaalagaan natin na broiler ay nami-meet yung performance standards. So ito ay mga targets, no, that indicate whether our management is efficient or not. So yung mga performance parameters, once again, they represent the genetic potential of the strain under optimal management. So yun daw yung magiging performance ng ating mga manok kung optimal yung management natin. So kung pangit yung management, of course, hindi ma-reach yung performance standard. So what are those? Number 1, target body weight per week. Bawat breeding company, bawat developer ay may nilalagay na target body weight per week. So dito, kung halimbawa hindi na-meet ng mga manok na ilaalagaan mo yung target body weight per week, that means pangit yung management. We can detect early kung saan nagkamali. Growth problems. Ano pa? Para makorek, kung we can detect early yung mga growth problems, then we can correct early. So very important yung weekly weighing para ma-monitor natin yung growth trend. Hindi lang yung tinitingnan natin ay yung market weight or yung final weight. Number 2, expected feed intake. Itong expected feed intake na binibigay ng mga breeding companies through their websites, through their flyers, through their brochures or manuals, this guides us how much feed birds should consume bawat araw or bawat linggo. Okay? Next, feed conversion ratio targets. Of course, we already know what feed conversion ratio means. So yung mga breeding companies nagbibigay ng expected FCR at different market ages kasi FCR is the most important economic indicator in broiler production. Pag mataas na ang FCR mo, meaning to say, hindi na economical yung pag-aalaga. And then number 4, mortality standards. So bawat strain, there are strain guides na nagbibigay ng expected accumulated mortality rates. So may mga acceptable na mortality rates like 3%. So ang range is 3 to 5% under good management. And then number 4, lighting program recommendations. May mga strain guides that include recommended lighting intensity. Gaano ka-bright ba ang light na ibibigay natin? And photoperiod schedule also. When we talk of photoperiod schedule, kailan mo switch on and kailan mo switch off ang light. Like ilang oras naka-switch on ang light. Very important 'yun. Kasi yung light ay hindi lang basta ilaw, no? Light affects yung feed intake at saka growth ng mga manok. So improper lighting will lead to stress or poor uniformity. Next, we have ventilation guidelines. Yung mga guides ng mga breeding companies provide recommendations for ano ba dapat yung airflow rate. Of course, this is already for mga commercial na production systems, no? Airflow rate, temperature range, humidity control. So kapag automated na yung housing system. So kung pangit kasi ang ventilation, alam na natin kung ano yung magiging consequence. May stress yung mga manok. So that ends our discussion for part 1 of broiler production and management. So part 1 is introduction to broiler production systems. So we've already covered a lot. We will discuss the next part in the next lecture video. Thank you very much, everyone, and I hope you learned something.